2013 Fremont School District meeting. So today, we're going to open our meeting, pledge allegiance. We'll be led by the student officer, Michelle. We'll go over some general rules. We'll go over the meeting. Then a quick introduction to board members. Then we'll have a quick school update, and then we'll walk into the board members. So if you would, please stand for pledge allegiance. So now, as we're making we're going to have rules. So this is the boring part, unfortunately, but I'll try to be fast. So for this rules, for our meetings, we're SB2, and if those who are doing SB2, we will pretty much amend the articles here that are on the ballot, on the warrant articles, which will then go to the ballot. We will not be finalizing the vote until March. We have the school and all the other articles to vote for. So these are suggested rules. I myself, each year we adopt them because really it's the floor, it's the legislative body that decides how we proceed the meeting. You guys will be any time. You guys feel not doing justice to a particular speaker or whatever else, tell me. Just say point of order, yell out loud, it'll be from the floor anywhere. And we're using Robert's rules to guide only. Only Fremont registered voters are allowed to vote. Alright? So basically, make sure that when you came in, you went to supervisors, you're checked off, you received your voter card. That's how we're voting. It's a raised hand vote here. And hand counts, anybody can request a secret ballot if they want. That's 5 voters. Sign a piece of paper. To be simple, we're going to handle one motion at a time as part of Robert's rules. Robert's rules allows you to do amendments, but then we all get confused when it's going on voting. So we're only going to allow one motion at a time, be it amendment, be it the fact that somebody called a question, so go from there. As I said, once again, the only exception I'll allow is if you say point of order, which means you don't know what's going on, you have to understand what's going on, or you think that I'm cuckoo. We won't accept any negative motions. That means that if you see an article and you say you put a not in front of it, or it's basically negated because they're changing the purpose of the article, and that's not allowed, it's legal issues. Now, as far as discussions, this is always the speaking point. Discussions, no one may have the floor unless you're recognized by me, the monitor. All discussion will be conducted from this microphone. All right, so we'll make a line, you can talk. Only exception, once again, point of order. So when you guys ask a question, please address me. Look at me and ask your question, and I'll deem who will respond. Make sure you clearly state your name, as well as your address, so that the clerk can record it for the meeting minutes. Each speaker will only speak once until the other person really has a chance to speak. So you can't, once you're the person, you turn around and speak again. Questions should clearly be questions. So don't mumble, because whoever else will be like, if you do ask a question, make sure you stay at the microphone for the answer. Moving the question. This is always a last question. Calling the question, moving the question means that you believe you've heard enough on a discussion, on an amendment, on an article, and that you would like to just move on to the next article. What we do is somebody calls it, microphone please, step up to it and say, I call the question, at which point we take a vote, because once again, it's the legislative body that decides whether or not we've heard enough. If somebody calls a question, and there's 4 people behind them, they can still talk, because it would be right not to let them speak. This is always fun. Disorderly conduct. No catcalling, no yelling from the audience, and no questions towards individuals. We're going to treat this as a board, school board, budget committee, not individuals. Okay, so any questions you have towards that, no individual attacks, please. We have a free striker here. I have to speak to you once in the morning, second time in the morning, third time, Officer LaRochelle will assist you out the door. So let's try to keep it civil. Finally, turn off your cell phones. It's not a barbaric night. Hamburger Paradise is always fun to hear. And without objection to the floor, these are the rules we want to So now I would ask, so I don't butcher names, Gene, can you introduce yourself and work our way down this way?
Assistant Principal.
Sau83, Special Education Coordinator.
Sau83, Principal.
All right, so now there's a quick school update.
Can everyone hear me? I tend to have a soft voice. Everyone hear me back? Well, thank you for coming to this very important meeting. I so appreciate your attendance. Today I'd like to try to take just a few minutes to try to explain to you the improvements that we've made at the school, things that we are very proud of, and how this budget that is being presented to you today came to be. If we take a look at the improvements under our school board leadership, it will give you a flavor of what we've been trying to accomplish. First of all, we have a restructured school administration from having 2 principals in the past to a principal and an assistant principal. I am now a full-time superintendent. There are many issues that I am dealing with on more than a 5-day-a-week basis. We're offering math and language arts every day now instead of other schedules. We've made huge improvements to our technology infrastructure by getting rid of the old Unix system and installing a thin client system throughout the school. And then finally, we're enjoying very collaborative school board administration relations, which is extremely helpful to the success of our initiatives. I would like to just point out some of the things about Ellis and Fremont School District, of which we're very proud. First of all, last year we made adequate yearly progress in reading at Ellis School for the 2011-2012 school year. The state has instituted a new accountability system that is judging our ability to provide the requirements of what's contained in an adequate education. And out of 4 possible points, we earned a 3.4, far above districts such as Bedford and other areas. So we're doing a good job here at Ellis. I'm very proud to say that we had a COVID valedictorian at San Juan Regional High School, Alexandra Adams. I'm sure she's already received multiple congratulations, but Alexandra went through Ellis School as well, and she was well prepared. Sierra Harmon won an exemplary sportsmanship and character award awarded by the New Hampshire soccer officials. So it's not just the academics that we are adhering to. We're also making sure that our children are growing up to be good citizens. Our own PTA won the Unit of the Year from the New Hampshire Parent Teacher Association for all their hard work that they do in assisting us in schools. Carla Smith, a nurse, won first place in a New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services Award for her teaching model about flu awareness. Our own Michelle Farrar, our guidance counselor, won New Hampshire Guidance Counselor of the Year. And then finally, Sean Crow, I hope I said her name right, she won honorable mention for PTA Volunteer of the Year. I have said repeatedly throughout this budget preparation season that this is akin to the perfect storm. We have had a multitude of influences that are beyond our control, and yet we are trying to move forward with our goal of having Ellis School become the best school in the state. First of all, the New Hampshire retirement system has deemed it necessary for reasons that are still not quite understandable, that we as a school district need to pick up 25% more of the cost of teachers' retirement. That for us alone is $98,000. In places like Exeter, it's over $2 million. So this was just a mandate that came down and is affecting every school district in the state. The new Affordable Care Act, which we lovingly call Obamacare, it's like a moving target. We get multitudes of regulations, proposed regulations, attorneys' opinions, workshops. Everybody has a different opinion as to how this thing is going to actually be implemented. But as the old saying goes, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And until the final regulations are issued, we are still under the gun to either provide health insurance or pay a penalty if we don't. We have to gross budget all positions, and we are absorbing the grant positions into our operating budget this year. In addition, we've already been told expect 5 to 8% cuts in entitlement programs such as Title I, IDEA, Title II. And then finally, the state informed us that we're receiving a $5,643 cut in our catastrophic aid. We have a 20-year agreement with Sanborn Regional. This year, we're budgeted to have 230 students attend the high school. If we combine our regular ed and our special education costs for the high school students, it equals $3,933,342. That's a 5.8% increase over last year. Usually in the past, they've given us a guaranteed maximum rate at sometime in November, and then we get a downward, they reduce the tuition rate once the vote has taken place. There's not going to be any GMR savings this year. Sanborn has already indicated that to us. The rate then is already proposed at $15,856 for a student that does not have special needs, and it's over an additional $6,800 in addition to that $15,000 for any student that does need special learning services. chart that I hope will help you understand. You can see the red line is Ellis School and our budget. So in 2008-2009, our budget was over $7,403,000. What we're proposing today is $6,615,000. Our budget has steadily gone down. In 2008-2009, Sanborn's figure was $3,129,000 change, and you can see now for 2013-14, which includes debt service, it's $4,324,332. How have we cut costs? This has been an incredibly painful process. There's not one member of the school board or myself or this administration that has agonized over these cuts. We have had to cut 2 regular education teachers, a special education teacher, a speech service provider, a paraprofessional, a half-time nurse, and a half-time occupational therapist. Here we go. In addition, we made all of these cuts in order to make our budget come in as close to level funded as we could. So things like smart boards, additional thin clients, textbooks had to go by the wayside. When we presented our budget to the budget committee after answering many of their questions, they voted to further reduce our budget by a guidance counselor, a paraprofessional, and 1 bus route for a total of $154,000. So as you can see, we feel that we brought in a budget, the school board feels that they brought in a budget that was as lean and mean as we could make it. The additional $154,000 in cut is now going into the bone marrow of what we're able to offer for kids. So I'll turn the mic back to Mr. O'Neill.
All right, I missed talk about rules. I missed actually 3 very important rules. One is that only Fremont voters are allowed to speak. Only exception I'll allow is if we have consultants, professionals outside Fremont that the board budget committee has approved of. As well as for initial presentations on each article, the board members will get 10 minutes. All subsequent discussions will be limited to 4 minutes. We're asking for. I got timers, so I'll let you know when you're close to your time. With that said, let's start the articles. So there's 9 articles today. 3 of those can't be amended, and 2 are supporting articles, previous articles. So let's start off with Article 2, but Article 1 is one of those that can't be amended because it just states that to choose the following school district officers. And yesterday was the final day for signing up. So what we have listed is, so we have 2 school board members for 3 terms. Running for those are Tammy Kidd, Andy Hoffer, Antia Corsi, and Sue Lanahan. For treasurer, we have Elizabeth Stanley, nobody running for clerk, and nobody running for moderator. So with that said, we move on to Article 2. Shall the school board, shall the Fremont District raise and appropriate an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth in the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote in the first session, for the purpose therein set forth totaling $10,939,863. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $11,429,325. Which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action in the Fremont School District or by law. Over the governing body may hold 1 special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10 and take up the issue of revised operating budget only. Note this operating budget warrant article does not include appropriations proposed on any other warrant articles. Not recommended by the Fremont School Board, 5-0. Recommended by the Fremont Budget Committee, 5-3. Motion and second from the Budget Committee. Okay, motion. Any motion? Okay, Mike's second. It's now open for discussion by the Budget Committee. We get 10 minutes to present.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shane Cordes. The Budget Committee summer is, as was mentioned earlier by the superintendent, is $154,000 less than what the school board proposed. The $154,000 comprised the reduction of one bus route, the reduction of one guidance counselor position, and then the reduction of the paraprofessional. Rationale was that the enrollment and the bus route, the enrollment is continuing to drop at Ellis School, and it was thought that they could get more with less bus routes. And the guidance counselor position, I believe there's 2 positions there now, and the rationale brought forth was that there's a state minimum requirement and with one position they needed. Some of the concern that came up at the public hearing was that the guidance counselors do things other in addition, I guess, to the guidance counselor role. So they were going to have to figure out how to cover that. And then there was a reduction of one paraprofessional position, and that was related to enrollment.
Thank you, Gene. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. My name is Sau83, and I'm the chair of the Fremont School Board. The school board worked very hard with Superintendent Lange to develop a budget for the upcoming school year that we then approved for $11,093,863. This budget will allow Ellis School to continue to have class sizes that remain at less than 20 students per class. Our budget for next year will support the same number of classroom teachers less 1, the same number of unified arts teachers, and the same number of administrators as this year. As Mrs. Lange has already mentioned, our budget has reduced 6 other staff positions from the following areas: 1 non-classroom teacher, 1 special education teacher, 1 speech position, 1 paraprofessional, 1.552 FTE nurse, and 1.5 occupational therapist. Classroom supplies and unified art supplies are funded in our proposed budget. We also continue to fund our after-school programs, sports programs, with the exception of the Eagle League program. All other school programs remain in place and funded. We have new and/or replaced furniture and equipment funded at a little over $14,000 for the year, with an additional $37,000 slated for computer equipment replacement and repair. We have been diligent and responsible for the review and oversight of the school budgetary requests and expenditures. We know where the money is being spent, why the money is being spent, and how to work together to prioritize our resources, which are limited. With that being noted, the school board respectfully does not recommend the Budget Committee proposed budget listed in Warrant Article 2. In closing, and on behalf of the entire school board, I would like to make a motion to amend the Budget Committee's budget number of $10,939,863 to $11,093,863. Thank you.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to increase the budget committee's number. Hold on, just look at the deltas. All right, motion made. So, I think that second, so Sharon. And Dan. So, it's now for discussion. And what we're discussing is the budget committee's number to increase the value up to $11,093,863. All right. There's no discussion. Then we're going to vote on this motion to increase it. So you're ready. So voting in yes means that it will be accept the motion to increase this budget limit. Voting a no means that when we go back to the current $10,939,863. So raise your hands now with your voter cards. For voting yes. Put your hands down. Those opposed, raise your cards. All right, motion passed. So now,
my name is Angela, 63 Road in Fremont. For those who don't know me, I'm a mother of two children in Alice, a kindergartner and a third grade. I'm happy to say we've had the best experience, wonderful teachers. Both my husband and I are very involved in school and in the town as well, coaching multiple sports, volunteering in school curriculum committees and so forth, in addition to working full-time. And we've been in the community for 13 years, and over that time, it has really become our home. The only thing that would ever make us leave this place is if the school does not continue to improve. I have a lot of faith that the school wants to continue to improve, and we've shown a lot of examples over the past few years how it has been improving. With that said, myself, my husband, and other community members are very concerned about the cuts that have been happening, and we feel like it's going to be even more of an uphill battle. Very pleased to see that the budget committee, or the school board's number, is now going to be the one that's going to be amended. But we feel like there still remains some concerns that the cuts that the school board made were a little deeper than we'd like to see. With that said, we would like to amend the warrant article number 2 by an additional $171,852. And I do have a one-page slide, Mr. Reagan, if you want to put that up. So as was spoken about earlier, the school board $154,000 was to represent 2 positions in 1 bus room, and that actually needs to be just 7 cents per day, the increase. What we're proposing is an additional $171,852 to be added back to the budget, bringing the total to $11,265,715. That's really, with the school board increase that we all just voted, just a cumulative increase of $9.79 per month, or just a minimum of 33 cents per day. What does that 33 cents per day give us in conjunction with the school board increases? It would give us a social studies teacher. Right now, Mr. Goff will be retiring at the end of this fiscal year, or calendar school year, excuse me. And that means that some of our middle school students will not have social studies. Not only will they not have a foreign language going into high school, they will also not have social studies now. We're also going to request that the part-time nurse be added back in. There is some information about that I believe discussion will follow my proposal to say why it's so important to have this part-time nurse. It's not only based on numbers, it's also based on what the children need services for. And then also supplies and resources, and those are listed there. I do believe that the school board was very diligent in the numbers and coming up with what to cut, but we also feel that we need to improve our school, not just maintain status quo. We need to improve it and deliver more for our students. Right Right now, there's some question and discussion about the cost per student. You're right, our cost per student is not the lowest it could be. There are empty homes, foreclosed homes in Fremont. If we get families to move into these homes, almost every class could maintain adding 1 to 2 more students. That would spread out the cost per student and actually make it a lower cost per student. The only way we're going to get new families to move into Fremont and want to come here is if we improve our school. Without improving our school, we will not be competing with communities in our areas for these important families to move into here.
Things like the science room missing, supplies, textbook, workbooks, laptops, smartboards, thin clients.
Like we need to continue to move the school in the right direction to meet the needs of our students and of the families who have students and of the community. It's only going to benefit the value of all of our homes as well.
The half-time nurse position was created 5 years ago, in 2007, to meet the increasing health needs of students at Ellis. The half-time nurse works 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, provides additional coverage to the office, helps with the acuity level of our students, and ensures that there is somebody who is always there. There were days as a full-time nurse that I'm absent, or I'm at a meeting, or I'm at professional development, which means there is no coverage if your student is ill or has an injury. The half-time nurse is not an assistant. She's a competent registered nurse. She's specialized, and she's committed to school nursing. We see a wide variety of both chronic and acute illnesses along with injuries. It's an ebb and flow that constantly varies. We can have up to 5 to 6 students in the office, very small office at one time. We can have a line on the floor. It happens. And sometimes it's a simple remedy such as an ice pack or Band-Aid, but more often than not, it's really a full nursing assessment, a full focused assessment to meet this child's needs. They can bump their head on the playground and have a concussion. They can have a cough and be developing pneumonia, a tummy ache and be an appendicitis. These are the things that we see all the time at Ellis School, and you never know what knocks on your door, and you have to be prepared for it. We see an average of 64 students a day. Our pupil total is 23 visits per student a year. That's a 30% increase over visits that were seen just 5 years ago, despite having less students. So we have a 20% decrease in our total population, but we're 30% busier in the nursing office. Doesn't seem to justify making that cut based on those numbers. The acuity is there. The state of New Hampshire does not have a set ratio for school nursing, but there is one that is recommended, and it's recommended by the National Association of School Nurses. Our recommended caseload using their formula is actually 2.39, which is 2+ full-time positions. Yet it's been proposed that we get cut down to just 1. We currently work at 0.15 and we maintain them. In addition to those daily types of visits, we have 92 students in our school with chronic health conditions. The nurses have to manage this care. We have to write nursing care plans. We need to collaborate with the parents, with the physicians. We need to have emergency medications on file. We need to have emergency plans on file in case an accident happens. Such as a child who has a food allergy and has a potential for an anaphylactic reaction. We need to prepare every staff member who comes in contact with that student. There's a huge educational piece of that. We need to train staff, not just the classroom teacher, but the unified arts teachers, the lunch and recess monitor, the food service staff. That is the school nurse's responsibility to do that education and training. Without assistance of the part-time nurse, that would not occur.
Carly, you have 30 seconds. Sorry.
We work independently. We don't have to collaborate off of each other when these cases arise. It's very important to be able to have a partner to work as a team. Without Without the part-time nurse, that means I'm there solo. And it's always going to be my judgment call, and sometimes that second set of eyes is what we really need. I want to say that the proposed savings of $37,515 is significantly less than a lawsuit from a medically fragile student. And I appeal to all of you to vote in support of the motion to amend the budget to $171,852 as Mr. Palmer just proposed. And in addition to that funding, I would like you to support reinstating that position.
A good thing I was called the fact that I didn't follow my duty. So we had a motion on the floor. We didn't get a second. So we need a second.
My name is Victoria Dean Road. I'm going to read this letter on behalf of a family that couldn't be here this morning, registered voters. And I'm speaking of one of her critical patients that cannot go without a second nurse availability in the school. This child has type 1 diabetes. 3 months ago, I'm going to read it because I found this family, okay? My 5-year-old son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and hospitalized for 4 days in Boston. He spent a week at home while we continued to get used to the new routines of checking blood sugar, counting carbs, and injecting him with insulin. I attended his previous school with him for a week and a half before realizing that he truly required constant access to nursing staff. We decided to change schools and enroll him at Ellis. Please know that this was not an easy decision, as our other child still remains at the other school. We based this primarily on the availability of 2 nurses that had both underwent significant diabetes training at the Johnson Clinic in Boston. In the beginning, my son was less than eager to have his finger pricked and to receive injections up to 8 times each day. When he began school at Ellis, I had to attend with him until he reluctantly allowed the school nurses to provide him with his medical care. 2 months later, and I still speak with the nurses on a regular basis daily, sometimes. It is imperative that Ellis School continue to have 2 nurses available for the student body. My son visits the nurse's office at least 3 times a day to be given finger pricks and insulin injections. They control his access to food and are consulted in the event that he hasn't eaten everything that he's been given insulin for. They are on constant call in case the kindergarten or special teachers are uncomfortable with how he is behaving. They are required to join him anytime he leaves the school grounds with his class. So for instance, if he wants to participate in a school field trip, that nurse has to attend the field trip with him. If she's on the field trip, she's not going to be able to give my son his afternoon vacation. My son is not the only child that is required to visit the nurse's office on a daily basis, but he may be the only one that could be placed in a life-threatening situation if the nurse is not available to him because she is attending to another student, or is out sick, or has a substitute that is unfamiliar with diabetic blood testing, carbohydrate calculations, and duties on insulin coverage. Even with the current nursing situation, there have been instances where I have had to pick my son up from school early because a nurse was absent, resulting in either a substitute unfamiliar with diabetic care of the nurse's office or the nurse's office being locked. Is this an inconvenience? Yes, but it happens rarely, and I'm willing to accommodate him because he's my son. Will I be able to accommodate him in the future when a second backup nurse isn't available because there's only one nursing position at the school? No, I will more than likely lose my job. This is something that's very important. It's important to me as a prior diabetic myself, and my concerns for my children that if she has to dedicate all of her time to the children that are critical, children that might have a simpler, smaller, maybe not as important illness may get overlooked because of that need for criticality. So that's what I say. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
I'm Marcia Solis from Nathan Drive. I just think it's important when we're making these decisions to keep in mind that we're actually have 2 schools in this one building. But many of the towns surrounding us have a middle school separate from the elementary school, and we don't. So these numbers are important, and we're all struggling financially, but it's also important to remember that if we had to fund a middle school, it would be much, much more difficult to afford. So these numbers, I just think it's important to keep in mind that we've got 2 schools here, so we can't really compare. to other districts that have two buildings, two separate sets of staff going on. Thank you.
I have a question for the school board. Why, if this is so important and all the facts are here, why did the school board cut the half-time nurse? Because I can see the cuts with a special education teacher and a professional because those usually follow IEPs. But if you have this high rate of special needs that require nursing, I don't understand why you would cut that.
When we're preparing the budget, we ask the administration what they need, how they want to handle things, what they can afford to cut. We have two things we have to look at. We have to look at what the town can afford to spend, and we have to look at how we're going to meet the needs of our children. And things change constantly in the school district. There is no question there can be a child like the one spoken of today that we don't know is coming on until after a decision is made. But we accommodate that. I don't believe the school district has ever not served the children of our district well. Ever. It's never about the money. We make it work. There's ways you can do that. There can be per diem nurses when it's necessary, when there's a field trip. All kinds of things are looked at from the administration's point of view. These professionals that run the district are looking at everything, talking to everybody, analyzing how things work here. And this is the budget. Our budget number is the number we came up with that we feel works. And we would never let a child suffer in any way for making a financial decision like this. So, Anne Marie, in answer to your question, I think what I need to say to you is that Mrs. Langham met with department heads, she met with the principals, she met with the facilities manager, and she talked to them about all of these things. And then she made a decision based on the information she got. And we support her, the board supports her in that recommendation.
Can the school board then also expand upon their decision about social studies? And I know that one of the goals is to become accredited, I believe. So I'd like to understand with the reduction in social studies how that goal is going to be further accomplished.
Throughout the budget presentation process, I made it very clear that we are not replacing Mr. Cole, but that we were not cutting the position as a permanent situation. The incoming 8th grade class is extremely small. It's less than 40 students. It's about 34 as I remember. And so we as a team of 7th and 8th grade teachers, the school administration, and myself have been discussing multiple strategies as to how to provide for social studies instruction for this 1 year. Most likely what will happen is that we have to take a look at either the RTI block or to have our language arts teachers pick up social studies as part of their reading program for informational text, which is required under the Common Core standards. So, yes, it is a difficult situation, but for 34 students, it was hard to justify having 4 full-time teachers in the 8th grade, and that's why we made the recommendation. I'd also like to speak to the nurse situation. At the time we made those recommendations, even as far as when it be going before the budget committee, the particular family that was mentioned had not even moved into the district. So we are becoming more and more student requires, and we will make adjustments accordingly. But at the time we presented the budget and prepared it, that family wasn't even with us. Thank you.
Mrs. Lincoln, or the school board, I have a follow-up question to that. So, the comment that was made about the 8th grade class being so small, the group that would be going into 8th grade. But my question is, then will we be going to next year, asking for an increase in the budget, then to add a teacher back in, because we're going to need it. So, it seems like it's always harder to add in later versus maybe maintain. And I would think that that person, if they're hired to do social studies, there's so many other opportunities within the school, whether it's language or whether it's health classes or other things. There seems like there's a lot of other opportunities with all of the other cuts being made that you can supplement that they're teaching those 34 students with some other things. So there's other creative ways, and then that way you build them for the future instead of just thinking about the short term now and going to be improving, having a plan to improve long term.
Again, it's an incredibly difficult decision to make. We could, for example, move up a teacher from the younger grades, and so that the 8th grade is fully staffed as appropriate, but then it becomes literally a numbers issue, because we are trying desperately to maintain low class sizes so that our students can achieve. It is a balancing act. As I said before, the amount of cuts that we had to make were directly related to expenditures that we have no control over. And we had to live within our budgetary means.
So is it safe to say if this amendment passed, that a full-time staff is added back in, that that position could be used, whether it's for the social studies in 8th grade, combination, I'm sure creative solutions can be made to use that person to their utmost capability to improve the school?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a two-part question. The first is, my understanding is that the social studies is 7th grade, so we would just be the 8th grade class. And the second part is, does the teacher have to be highly qualified in social studies to teach social studies?
I should just say that. It's my exercise today.
The highly qualified teacher status only applies if they're teaching more than 3 classes per day of any individual subject. So it would not apply in this instance for the 8th grade. Yes, the person does teach 7th and 8th grade, so it is actually the language arts teachers in both grades that will be assisting us with social studies.
My name is Sue, and I have 2 children at Alice. And I just, stepping away from the specifics of the social studies teacher, I just wanted to raise a broader point of part of why we felt that it was appropriate to ask to amend the warrant article to increase it by $171,000. I know that enrollment's been decreasing and costs are rising, but my concern is that when we see numbers like an increase of $218,000 in high school tuition and $98,000 in retirement costs, those are not benefiting my children and adults. So, in essence, their budget is being cut just by the increase of cost. So, we feel that it's necessary to really keep the school on the path and the school board and the administration want to try to make us one of the top schools in the city. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Hi, Mary calling back, number 21 Tough Drive. My question regards this $30,000 for a website. What is the purpose of that? I would assume that the school board's budget already has money in there for a website. Are you planning to hire another person for that, with that money?
I'm not the expert in that area. Why do you?
Yes. Or science.
I'm not the expert in that area. I know that this $30,000 was cut from the website, from the school's budget, so I didn't create those numbers, if you will. Those actually came from the budget and it was cut. But we've made tremendous progress in technology in the past year. But we are still have a lot of work that needs to be done when you look at the website and how the community, how the parents, how the students can interact with it and so forth. Our website is not adequate for what we need today in the 21st century for our students and for our families. So I am taking a leap of faith assuming that that's what it's there for, and I think the school board could probably expand upon.
The $30,000 that they have on the screen was not in last year's budget, so it wasn't this year's budget, I should say the current budget frame. It wasn't in this budget. That's an addition. That would have been something that the administration would have asked for and was cut for the wish list, if you will, of things they want. So the $30,000 would have been for a new website versus the one we currently have now. But it's not a cut to this year's spending.
A whole new website redesign?
I'm assuming 30,000 would be a brand new website, yes. We didn't really talk about it because it didn't come to the board. It was cut before it came to the board. That request.
So you have a good handle on that amount of money that would be towards a new website design? $30,000 is really what's needed?
We are not asking, the school board has not included that in our budget, and we're not asking for that in our budget. The people from the board are requesting.